Welcome. I imagine you traveled far for this. What we have here just arrived by the owl in my mailbox outside. Now it may say something ridiculous like Conan, the Hyborian Adventures, actually. It is not. This is a ruse. It is a gentle disguise to kind of mask what lies behind this clever cover. Inside, you see, we have the story of brave adventurers, epic encounters, and overall epicness. So much here that it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I want you to imagine that you could travel to another time, another age, because that's how we say another age. This story is personal to me. It has made me kind of touchy about stuff. Made me feel things I never knew I could feel. And so now I want to share that feeling with you, make you weep, as it were. This is the story of Std&D, the story thus far. This story continues every Monday at 8 p.m. GMT +1. I'm just kidding. Just don't pay no mind to that. Okay. Our journey begins in a municipal, about 6.5 hours from here. Our story begins in the mind of a man with fabulous face pubes. Of course, his face pubes is not as impressive as mine right now. His name is Teo, and he will henceforth be called DM. Now, I don't want you to think about any sexual things when I say DM. I don't know. It's like BDSM and DM. People draw the wrong conclusions. This one is the master of the story. And he made a town, a city, a world for us to embrace ourselves in. So let's delve into it, shall we? The town is Eredale. The country is Arsrakor. I'm sorry about that. It was not important how the brave adventurers found each other, nor how long they had been traveling together. This is still a secret to the aforementioned party. Yes, they don't know that still. So let's quickly introduce them, shall we? They were known as Stangar the Brave, Liarora the Cleric, Draven the Druid, and Anomen the Stage Magician. Stangar never told the others that he actually was brave. This was a secret well kept. This story is also consisting a lot from what Stangar remembers from the encounters, so some might be slightly dramatic. I am just warning you about that right here, right now. So Liarora the Cleric, also known as the Healer, although Stangar got hurt more often than healed by her. Then there's Draven, there's a lot of A's in his name. Draven the Druid, who loved to run off and set fire to stuff. And Anomen was the magician who loved to show off his nobility. With this party, what could ever go wrong, you ask? Well, I'm here to tell you exactly what went wrong, how it went wrong, and also why it went wrong. They met in Stangar's favorite place on Earth, a bar. This particular bar was called the Old Boar's Fang. Outside this bar, there was a memo board showing off different tasks that needed brave warriors. I don't even know if there was a memo board back then, or if it probably was, but I don't think it was called a memo board. This is all speculation, of course. Oh my god, I need a squingy I need one of those things. God damn it. Just lost my dialect there. And also, let's see, outside the bar there was a memo board. Yes, we have already concluded with that. Showing off different tasks that didn't brave warriors. Stangar was immediately drawn to this, but was too fond of drinking to do anything about it. Well, of course, Draven was too much of a dick, really, and Leorora didn't really speak at the time. So a Gnomon stepped up, demanding structure, and took his place as the leader, self-proclaimed leader of the group. It was pointed out that Stangar was too dumb and ugly to lead. He knew then and there that this would end in a bloodbath. And oh, how right he was. The task they set out to complete was that of a rescue mission of some youngins up in Balance Crossing. Youngins is, of course, for those who don't know, little people, also called children. This was after they got some very much needed beers, as they did have a brave dwarf in the group who needed sustenance. A few beers later, Leorora dragged Stangar out from the bar by the beard. Wow, say that 5 times quickly, would you? And the group is off. Halfway there, the dwarf pees in the river, leading to their destination. He had some bears, then they needed to be passed. They fought off some wolves with oil and fire, and had a merry trip to the town. When they got there, they sought the mayor for details on their task. After some quarrels trying to find this mayor, they finally got what they needed and headed towards the forest, south of Balance Crossing. There they found a statue of Belland. I will believe that Balance Crossing is probably named after this Belland fellow. Let's see, he was a legendary warrior. They also uncovered a tomb that recently had been interacted with, so they headed inside, with no second thought as to what may happen. They should really have thought that through. They happened upon a crypt with the hardest riddle known to man. Stangar even tried peeing in the small streams of mountain water. He is very fond of peeing, running from the walls, to no avail. Why wouldn't that work, you ask? I don't know. After some sexual fondling with the statues that was placed in the room, Leorora probably had a vision of sorts to the future of her party, and suddenly uttered the word to the single sitting statue in the room. Death. She said death. Now, bear in mind, we had been taking this very seriously, looking at a lot of statues, sexually fondling the statues, and she figures to say death to the sitting statue. Well, it worked. A door emerged from the wall as she uttered the words. Again, with no second thought of danger, the party heads on through the door. Oh, this is exciting, isn't it? They came across a room with a shrine and a pool of water. In this water, 2 children was floating and slowly transforming into the Michelin Man by absorbing water. They rested there because why not take a nap right next to 2 wannabe drowners? That was a Witcher reference, for those who don't know what that is. A drowner is basically a water-filled corpse that doesn't smell very good. When they woke up, merely a week later, they discovered that the druid had found himself on a trap. The particular trap unleashed acidic death upon him, effectively melting him on the spot. The party slept through his screams of anguish. I would imagine after a loss like that, the shock would just keep you sleeping. This hair would probably kill me during this narration. It is everywhere. So, they ventured further into the group after they woke up, and they came across a chamber with old books and documents, as well as a drift globe, for those who know what that is. But also they met a new member to the party. And what luck this was! as they just recently, in that very same tomb, lost a druid to acid. I'm sorry about that. His name was Thok, the half-orc barbarian, whom Stangar immediately grew a bromance for. His chiseled muzzles was glistening of sweat as he fended off undead. Oh yes, they saw some undead people in there as well. And Stangar, as he remembers it, they could never have gotten out of this pickle, wasn't it for Stangar's bravery? Everyone else might remember it because of the skills that Thok provided, but Stangar is Stangar. He remembers things quite differently. They head back to the surface, dragging along water-soaked children corpses as per Leonora's request. Well, on top again, they head back to the Balance Crossing. Stangar thought it was because of the bears there, but it turned out to be because they had semi-completed the task of returning the children, which is now slowly decaying in their arms as they carry them to Balance Crossing. Thank you, Leonora. It's so awesome of you to think about us like that. Holy shit. It's not going to work, is it? On the way there to Balance Crossing, they encountered a patrol of riders from Eredale, who pay the group for their services and take the bodies of the children. In truth, they were starting to smell, so this was probably a win-win for the group. Then the party spends an ungodly amount of time traveling and reach the town of Balance Crossing, just as they are cremating the drowners. The children, the beloved children. And then the next day, the party, refreshed and resupplied from the previous adventure, decided to tackle a fairly pressing matter to the northeast, where the small town of Duvik's Pass has become mysteriously ill by some kind of plague. Where's my comb when I need it? The trail leads the party to Orange Deep, a small mining community with deep tunnels leading underground. They discover that the strange mix of a dark-skinned elf and a spider has taken the mine shafts as its lair, cohabiting it with a small plague-stricken tribe of hobgoblins. Yes, imagine that if you would. During the fight between the party and the goblins, because we did fight them, Leonora mysteriously vanishes. Yes, it's still upon debate why she vanished. She's docking out of her services or duties, as it were. Once the fight is over, the party discovers a hole in the middle of the chamber they were fighting in and jump in search of the missing fellow adventurer. Someone forgot a whole lot of commas in this. No, it's the ink. Yes, it's supposed to be commas, but the ink from the owl is missing. The holes have been dug by massive worms. Ooh, I remember this one. One of which swallows Stangar, that is why I remember it, during his search. But the dwarf is rescued after some failed attempts of bombing it from within and swinging like a madman from a sword on the side of the worm. Yes, Stangar was. It was very remarkable, very remarkable. It was awesome. It was the best fight ever. Let's see here. Yes. Just before Stangar kills the worm and its entire family, the rest of the party starts to finish off what Stangar started. And the worm is struck down. It wouldn't have happened if Stangar didn't whip it with his rapier. Yes, that is exactly what he did. He whipped it with the rapier. The party continues the search after a worm encounter and come across a spider lair deep down in the worm tunnel. In the middle of the spider lair, covered in webbing, is Leonora, cocooned. The adventurers nearly die, one after the other fell prey to the spiders. Yeah, they had venom and stuff, and they were really hard to kill. With Thok slaying the last spiders just before his last breath escapes him. And that was one hell of a fight, actually. Leonora is saved, and the party reunited. And the bravery of Thok was forgotten soon after. Good thing I'm reminding you of it now, right? Yes. The party continues their original mission after a lengthy rest, because we like to sleep for 1 week at a time. Why sleep if you can't sleep for many of hours? About 140 hours, I guess, we are sleeping each time we are sleeping. The party continues their original mission after a lengthy rest. They discover deeper in the mine that Drider, the awesome-boobed spider lady, has magically poisoned an underground spring that flows into an underground river, coursing all the way down to 2 weeks Pass. With the Drider gone, the magic dissipates and the water cleared of the magical plague, effectively saving the town. 2 weeks Pass begins a long road of recovery, aided by another adventuring group too, by the way, while the heroes continue back to Aradale after a few days of helping rebuild. Stangar wanted to drink, but Thok, being all noble and stuff, wanted to help the people even more, and since Stangar needed to look cool in front of Thok, he followed along. Leorora wanted to help. Leorora always wanted to help for some reason. So there was never a question in her mind. And Noman, well, he was around maintaining his image. He did like that image. Back in Aradale, the group have... That was a weird burp. Back in Aradale, the group have some parties. And by group, I mean Thok and Stangar. Well, Anoman was prancing the town in his new clothes, and Leorora was praying as per usual. Leorora even dragged Stangar into her god's temple to keep him out of trouble. This ended with Stangar hitting on a she-dwarf and failing miserably, trying to dip the she-dwarf romantically like and stopping to throw some dice for some reason, and getting a low number of the said dice. And hold on, this is on the next page. He got a low number on the dice and the she-dwarf slipped his grasp. On her way down, she clinched Stangar's beard and pulled out a huge tusk, rendering Stangar to look like a bad Wolverine impersonator. Then they figured, let's do a mission. And so they did. The party takes on a simple job for a local wizard, who wants to collect some rarish herbs from a nearby forest. After collecting all of the other herbs, they track down the last one to a small cave. They've heard some weird sounds in the forest, and following these sounds, they were led to a large feathered bear with the head of an owl. They defeated it after some close calls, continuing like nothing ever happened. Is it hot in here, or is it just me? It might be my robe, actually. After such a task, the group once again needed to sleep for an entire week. The party takes on a mission to check on the caravan's route south. Wow, the caravan route south. And seek out the bounty on a bugbear named Relgor. Wow, this Relgor, okay. We are there. His band was raiding the area around Aradale, and the party was determined to stop him. They tracked Relgor and his gang through the forest and some old ruins therein. Shortly before arriving at the ruined keep Relgor might be hiding away in, the hobgoblin tribes... Hold on. That fucking owl forgot the goddamn ink. They tracked Relgor and his gang through the forest and had some... They tracked Relgor and his gang through the forest and some old ruins therein. Shortly before arriving at the ruined keep Relgor might be hiding away in, the party meets a group of elves also hunting him. The elves are on a mission to oppose rising hobgoblin tribes in the west, and they tell the party that Relgor is one of their lieutenants. Both Stangar and Thok agreed. The leader of the elves had some really nice breasts. And they were real. But she was not fooled by attempts to seduce her, at least not by Stangar and Thok. Leorora was the one to get her attention. And the men were devastated, but could do nothing more than to carry on. They dragged Leorora away from the elf and carried on, professionalism and all that. After a horribly botched attempt to sneak attack, the party charges Relgor's tower. They kill many goblins and hobgoblins during the fierce fighting, but eventually succumb to the numerically superior force defending the tower. Now this is where I will kind of step in and tell you what really happened. An omen gets killed instantly, but Stangar fought on in his place. He fought for days, maybe weeks, in rain, snow, and spewing volcanoes. Angels fell from the skies to aid him. But he did not accept. Nay, he would do this one alone, like the true warrior and savior he was. Thok and Leorora was rendered motionless by his heroics and were truly speechless. They saw blood and body parts getting flung all around them, and they could but gaze at the amazing mastery of Stangar's axe as it split apart trees and hobgoblins alike. After killing what could only be hundreds of the enemy's forces, Relgor and 26 men snuck up behind him, using a potion that rendered them invisible to Stangar's eagle eyes, and they planted a sharpened tree trunk in Stangar's back. Now this will get a little emotional. Okay. Now, fighting with his intestines rolling out of a gaping hole in both of his back and his abdomen, Stangar managed to kill the remaining foes, but Relgor, still utilizing the unique invisibility potion like it was, managed to conjure a building over Stangar's head, which falls down upon his skull and breaks all the bones in his upper torso. His clavicle bone, as you might imagine, is pulverized. And his head gets pushed into his chest. And he falls over. Dead. The mountains were seen weeping rivers of blood for a full hour after his passing, honoring his life. And as his final breath of life escapes his parted lips, a single gust of wind whispered in the treetops, and a flower bed emerged beneath Stangar's body. Thok and Leorora couldn't believe their eyes. Stangar, the great, the brave, the awesome, has fallen. The only solace they can take from the battle is that millions of hobgoblins now burn in hell. But it was not over, as Relgor still survived and takes Thok and Leorora as slaves, and they are carted away. They should have done something to help Stangar. Thok and Leorora staged a daring escape by utilizing Leorora's assets, and by that I mean boobs, of course. They flee the hobgoblins' slavers' camp and head back east, mostly naked and without the equipment. This specific escape, by the way, a naked time in the forest, will be pointed out on numerous occasions in the future, but to this they were unaware. While being hunted down by warg riders, they were saved by the elven rangers they met previously, who helped them escape and escort them to Eredale. After a few weeks of recovery, Thok and Leorora undertake a revenge mission against Relgor. They hire a barbarian dwarf named Mug and a ranger. They rush back to Relgor's tower, and on their way they spend a night with paladins of Pelor who are traveling through the forest and who have been busy killing off Relgor's goblins. Well, thank God for that. The party returns to Relgor's tower, this time with a better plan and fewer opponents, of course because Stangar killed them all. They kill the bugbear's men, and finally Relgor has swell. They recover the bodies of Anormen and Stangar that have been hung up on the tower walls, and they give them burials. Mug, seeing the still awesome body of Stangar, honoring his fallen unknown comrade by taking a part of him with him. He digs through what used to be the body of a god reincarnated and locates his skull. The heat have melted most of his skin, but he cleansed it and attached Stangar's skull to his weapon, allowing Stangar to fight on, even in death. How nice of him. A quick side note though, I, the narrator of this most epic novel, have a slight subjective relationship to Stangar the Almighty. Just so you know, if you want to see more of what the common folk saw as the passing of this god, click the link and be disappointed. or keep watching for the most captivating story that surely go down in history as one of the greats. Blah, 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 blah. Greats. I don't know if that was even changed. Now that the new formed group has honored the remains of their fallen heroes and Anomen, the party takes on a mission to Arradale Tavern The party takes on a mission to an Arradale Tavern owner who has found some kind of dungeon below his establishment while expanding his cellar to fit more wine and ale. The ranger leaves the party and is replaced by a mysterious tiefling who just conveniently happens to be present at the right time to take part in the little adventure we have going on. So much bloody hair. And it's back. The adventurers descend into the dungeon and explore, finding it to be an old tomb of some kind. Mog and Thok have a very pleasant conversation with a spectral man who keep popping up from one of the sarcophagi. And, by the way, as it will be known for henceforth, sarcophalophilus. I don't even know if I said that correctly. Sarcophalophilus. Sarcophagus. The party discovers further in a large chamber with a statue of a lion head. Answering a series of riddles correctly, they are teleported to another section of the tomb, where they release a demi-lich that nearly kills the party before escaping. The party scrambles and find a phylactery hidden away in the tomb as well, smashing it with the hopes of killing the demi-lich. They rush out of the tomb to discover the tavern owner dead and the demi-lich seemingly destroyed. Leorora is giving ownership of the tavern, for fuck's sake, to everyone's misfortune, and this means that her signature is on the deed, and that she have the power to, say, change the name of the tavern, she alone. It's quite obvious that the tavern known as the Dancing Cockatrice should have been called Tits. Nope, should have been called Tips and Tits. Just a tip for the tip. Just a tip for the tits. The party ventures back into the tomb and loots it, finding all kinds of neat toys, including an ancient magical sword. The party is hired to observe an Arradale envoy going to Aladdin. Why did I say that like a medicine? The party is hired to observe an Arradale envoy going to Aladdin and make sure nothing nefarious is going on. Arradale is trying to broker peace between Barathol and Aladdin. The party encounters Drow, burns a building. Thok is taken in for questioning. Mug breaks into prison to free Thok, who doesn't even wish to flee. Mug parkours up the wall and escapes via the filthy river. Filthy means shit, it was the sewer. If you want to see Muggs explaining this daring escape in his words, click this link. Aladdin becomes under the bombardment from the sea, where apparently the hostilities from Barathol have begun. The party ensures that the Arradale envoy has escaped and they free themselves. A duo of priests arrive from the Dancing Cockatrice, asking about the dungeon below their establishment, and the magical sword recovered from within. They conduct some kind of a ritual within the hidden tomb and depart. Holy fuck, it's warm in here. Moments later, another priest of Palor arrives, asking the same thing and discovering that the party has already relinquished the magical treasure to the fake priests. Quote, end quote. The party gives chase to Haybrook, where they discover clues to the existence of something valuable in the mountains near Highbarrow. The sweat is actually making my beard slip down from my nose. It's very, very, very displeasing. They charter a ship with a particularly kinky captain that basically rapes Mug and scars him for life. With sawdust on his junk, the party have a great laugh at his expense and sail to Harvendell, seeing a dragon flying over the mountains to the far west. The party journeys to Highbarrow via Pendle, having a very strange race with an elderly man moving his wealth to the small town. You know, knowing that now, that he was moving his wealth and not just junk, we would probably just have taken him down and, ignored Leorora and looted him. They also encountered strange hyena men on their trip as well as a hill giant and a cyclops. Oh, Thok takes this as a challenge and decides to arm wrestle them. After rolling dice against fate over and over again, Thok manages to win against all odds over the Cyclops. Then he quite horribly lost against the giant. Got pissed and then left, but then the Cyclops killed the giant, and then we killed the Cyclops, and Mug took his balls. Let's see here. So they did. Yes, I actually said everything that didn't even have to read. Oh God. In Highbarrow, the party and journeys up the mountains and locates the old abandoned monastery of some kind and proceed to investigate. They encounter a sleeping blue dragon who tells them there is something located. Nope. Who tells them there is something locked below the structure, and the magical sword the party has lost is some kind of key for it. I have no ink whatsoever on this page. I should have had a magnifying glass. The party finds itself in the middle of a strange fog, and purple and blue that gives away a large chamber decorated with dragons being worshipped by elves. A man with golden eyes sits atop a throne at the one end, and a woman with silver clothes and silver eyes stand in the middle, berating him. The altercation leads to 4 sets of doors opening and revealing other areas. A rose garden, a hedge maze, a library, and a kitchen. After some time roaming around, the adventurers discovered that they are in the astral plane and seek to get out. But first, Mug was very eager to know what would happen if one was to blow a ghost in the mouth. He never saw this, but Thok managed to see the inside of a woman's skull, and he portrayed it as looking behind her eyeballs, and it was quite the horrendous sight to behold. He even inhaled some plasma. Thok then helped Mug and Leonora to get out of the astral plane by hitting them in the head and knocking them unconscious, then knocking himself out by running straight into the throne. Misali chooses to sleep instead, because why knock themselves out and have some fun when you can just sleep? The party wakes up back in the monastery with a few days having passed. The party wakes up back in the monastery with a few days having passed. They find the blue dragon Fafnir dead and harvest nearly all of his parts to satisfy their sick urges. Mug might even have contracted a sickness of some kind while retracting the dragon's penis, which was sheathed, by the way, and that is a horrible idea. He gave up and left with only the sickness. That is nice. The others managed to get some scales though, so good for them. They then ventured down into the cellar that has been opened, seeking out who killed the dragon and banished them to astral plane. The astral plane. And so ends this dramatic reading, leaving you to follow along in the adventures ahead.
But did you blow? Did you blow in her face?
I might actually inhaled.
What happened? Leonora, pay attention. I try to turn my head while she's holding onto my beard, so my eyes
I
are
just
kind of
pull my
strained.
hands out and pull all the hairs my fingers would twirl around.
And you're here Thok, it hurts like a motherfucker, but it's still worth it. Could you please blow her face? I'm missing a chunk of my face now. My beard is in her hand, but I need to know what plasma would do to a vocal eruption of air.